Guys, and we're going to talk a little bit about Oscar De La Hoya's tweet that was on Twitter. But if you see the profile picture shows you that. I didn't get to show Oscar's face underneath the tweet, but now a lot of people are saying Oscar's just jealous. He just hating on Canelo when he posted that tweet. But that tweet is speaking volumes, man. It's speaking volumes. I'm just gonna take a little rest on the ground here. It's speaking volumes, man. Um, so let me start it off with what Eddie Reynoso said when he was interviewed by a journalist and reporter when asked about guys like Floyd and Shakur Stevenson in the upcoming Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez fight. Eddie Reynoso said, guys like Floyd and Shakur Stevenson, the African American style of boxing, is one of the most difficult styles to prepare for. This is what Eddie Reynoso said. Shout out to Dante's Boxing Nation on covering this as well. You can go and check out Dante's Boxing Nation's piece on it and on Canelo and why he's not really facing a lot of boxers who have the black American or the African American, they call it, style of boxing. So when Oscar De La Hoya posted that tweet, it wasn't trying to get at Canelo, because Oscar De La Hoya told Canelo back when he had fought, I believe it was, he fought, who was it? I believe it was either before the Erislandy Lara fight or after the Erislandy Lara fight. I'm not too sure which one it was. He told Canelo, he said to Canelo, Canelo, listen, maybe it's time for you to learn new techniques and new skills. Maybe it's time that you move on from Eddie Reynoso to another trainer. And Canelo sort of fell out with Oscar De La Hoya for that and said that Oscar wasn't loyal. Now you have to understand, Oscar De La Hoya through his career went through a number of different trainers. To him, the best trainer he ever had was Floyd Mayweather Sr., which is Floyd Mayweather's father. And Floyd Mayweather Sr. taught Oscar a lot of the slick black American sort of style of fighting. It's not really black American, but a lot of black American fighters do use that style, which is more of defense. It's a defensive style, so you don't get hit as much as, say, other styles, which may be straight up and down, and you actually get hit. And when I say get hit, not necessarily that you're getting hit with money punches or that it's landing in your targeted areas, but that you're getting hit on the arms or the shoulders because you're blocking punches. The slick style, your opponent doesn't even connect with anything. You learn to slip and roll punches, ride punches. You learn to, slide in, slide out, roll under, roll in, roll out, roll to the side, etc. You're going under punches a lot so that they miss. So the hooks that are thrown, even straight shots that are thrown, so you slip straight shots and you roll under hooks, okay? So it's a very, that's what they mean by slick. Slick meaning you can't find the target, you can't hit the target. Like slicks, like, a slick on the ground. It's very slippery. Well, these guys are very slippery, so that's why you call slick. Like if you got oil on you, can't connect. So that's what Eddie Reynoso said. When he said that, it threw alarm bells up for me and several other people in the boxing community, because Eddie Reynoso is saying that he has limits. If any style of boxing should never be the most difficult. You can say that a particular style is very elaborate, but there is no style in boxing. When you have to face somebody, when you have to face an opponent of some kind, there's no such thing as most difficult. Maybe it's a challenge, and it may be challenging for you, but there's no most difficult style. Okay? It's very important to understand. Every single style in boxing can be dissected. Every move in boxing can be countered. Therefore, there is no such thing as a most difficult style in boxing. All right. There are difficult fighters. There can be a very difficult fighter because that fighter uses smarts and so many other things. He's able to adapt and adjust and so on. And because of that, the way that fighter conducts himself, it's very difficult to beat. But to say that there's a difficult style, like you can say, well, anybody who's using this style, no, there's no such thing as that. Okay? So I was surprised when Eddie Reynoso said that. And now Oscar De La Hoya goes and posts this because Oscar De La Hoya had been advocating, just like, what happened with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia changed trainers from, first he had another trainer, and then he went to Eddie Reynoso, and now he's moving on to Joe Goosen. Okay? And following the footsteps of Oscar De La Hoya, getting more experience, getting different techniques, different approaches. These are all very important for a fighter. And Canelo fell out with him for that. So Oscar De La Hoya, when he put up those two side-by-side photographs of both Oscar Valdez getting beaten by Shakur Stevenson and Canelo Alvarez being beaten by Floyd Mayweather, he was making the point that both of those fighters have the same trainer. It is the same trainer. He was making a point, and he was basically emphasizing the point that Canelo, even if he doesn't get rid of the Reynosos because they've been there with him, he needs supplemental health. Just like with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, it's good to stay loyal to your trainer, but there's a certain point at which your trainer or your coach can only go so far. And Eddie Reynoso has just admitted, he has just acknowledged he has a limit to how he can dissect and using the giftings and skills of, say, a Canelo Alvarez. He has a limit as to how he can deliver a win over a certain style of fighting and certain kinds of fighters. And this would explain, I believe, why Canelo has not faced Jamal Charlo, nor has faced Demetrius Andrade, even though he has been in the same division with them now for what is going to be 3 divisions, because Andrade is now at 168. So Canelo has not faced Demetrius Andrade, who has been a champion at 154, 160, and now he hasn't faced him at 168. And now let's throw into that mix a Mexican fighter who's very tough and has good jab and throws a lot of combinations, David Benavidez. Canelo doesn't seem to want to do anything with these young, strong champions. And I think I don't know what's the reason with David Benavidez, but I do know for a fact that he doesn't want nothing to do with Demetrius Andrade. He has said he's a horrible fighter. That's how much he does not want anything to do with him. In fact, he started cursing out Demetrius Andrade and his father, who was just asking him to have a fight and wanted them removed from the press conference. So that's how much Canelo does not want to face a Demetrius Andrade. And Demetrius Andrade is not only a southpaw, but he has that slick African-American style that Eddie Reynoso has said is very difficult to face. Now, Jamal Charlo, not so much. He's not as slick as Demetrius Andrade. And I've listened to a lot of fans of Canelo bad talk Demetrius Andrade. I've listened to a lot of fans, anti-Devin Haney, who also has that slick African-American, they say, style. It's really Black-American, not African-American, but whatever. They all share that. Shakur Stevenson is the same thing. These are fighters from that kind of cloth. And I see why so many people are hesitant to face these fighters, because they have so much respect for them. And in a way, it's a bit flattering. But at the same time, people have to make money and they have to live. And Demetrius Andrew has been ducked by just about everybody in his division, which is why he hasn't faced anybody yet. And so I am going to say this, and I'm going to put it on the platform. Canelo is not a complete fighter. And particularly why I say he's not a complete fighter, and we've said this, I think a lot of you have said it in many different ways, but you don't accurately articulate it. I will accurately articulate it for you so you will understand exactly what is with Canelo. Canelo doesn't have slow feet. Canelo doesn't have slow feet. That's not the problem. He's very lightning fast. He's explosive. He's very quick on his feet. All right. Canelo is not flat-footed. Canelo can box on his toes. The problem with Canelo Alvarez, and I believe it's because of his body mass, is he cannot maintain a certain pace or cardio with his feet. He can't move his feet quickly for 12 rounds. He just can't do it. He runs out of gas. Now, when he was younger, he used to throw a lot of combinations and stuff. He became more efficient. He started pot shotting more to conserve more energy. He's very explosive. He's very quick on his feet. That's not the problem. He's fast also with his feet, but he can't maintain it. He can't maintain. Canelo should have been doing, I said this from way back when he faced Aristotle Lara, he should have been doing pace drills. That is, you're supposed to be picking up your feet and doing all those quick drills, running through those ladder things that you do, all of that. You should be doing that non-stop. Then you're supposed to be going into 12 rounds and just sparring off the back foot, jabbing and sticking and moving for 12 rounds. You should just have somebody putting pressure on you, and you're sticking and moving for 12 rounds. 40 minutes, 50 minutes, sticking and moving. That's all he should be doing. Non-stop. He should be running those drills to get the speed up on his feet and the cardio up. And he would lose a lot more mass as well because of that. Canelo is built like a tank, but his weakness, the Canelo's weakness, and he's learned how to deal with it, is to pace himself. But if it's a high pace fight, where he has to move his feet a lot. Now, why that's important is because if you can move your feet at a high pace, you can close distance, close the gaps with much more explosiveness and much more quickness against a fleet-footed fighter. Because Dimitri Bivol is light on his feet. He can move around. He can shift weight very well from one foot to the next. And for Canelo, that's going to be a very difficult challenge. People are saying that Canelo will close down the distance on Bivol and eventually stop him by going to the body. But in order to do that, there are two very important things to understand. Bivol, first of all, he's got a good punch. Canelo's going to have to respect that punching power. As beautiful as Canelo is, the difference between Sergey Kovalev and Dimitri Bivol is a counterpuncher. All right, Dimitri Bivol is a counterpuncher, and he has great pivot work. He's not the same kind of fighter as, say, Caleb Plant, in the sense Caleb Plant uses the shell, so a lot of the punches that Canelo threw at Caleb Plant didn't really do him anything. But Bivol, he uses foot movement, so he moves more, okay? And he'll move around you, and you pivot around you and stuff like that. But having said that, people saying, Bivol would have a problem off the ropes. I don't think he'll have any problems off the ropes. Canelo, of course, his game plan would be to get Bivol on the ropes if he can, and then start working his combinations on him. Bivol has a decent defense. He also uses the shell at times. I like Bivol because Bivol doesn't necessarily have to move around the ring. He can stand right in front of you and you miss. Bivol doesn't necessarily have to move around the ring. He can stand right in front of you and you miss 5, 6, 7 punches on him, and then he can come back. So Bivol has that a little bit of upper body movement, but mostly he has that the smarts, the foot movement, to give Canelo all kinds of problems. And he's light on his feet. Canelo, when he's walking down guys, he's flat-footed. And he uses, like I said, a system of feints and certain specific movements with his feet to walk you down. You've seen it also with Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz actually uses that quite a lot. I was just watching Andy Ruiz versus Chris... what's his name? Chris... Well, anyway, he's from Riverside. I can't remember what his name is. And Chris Chris knocked down Andy Ruiz. Why can I not remember Chris? He faced Deontay Wilder. He faced everybody. I think the only guy that knocked him out was Bermane Stiverne. Whatever his name is. The point is that Andy Ruiz also uses that kind of precise footwork to walk down his opponent, coming off an angle. But that won't work with it won't work against Bivol. Just won't. So Canelo has to do something different to what he's used to doing. Even though he's been successful with what he's doing in this fight, he needs to get that cardio up, that foot cardio. He needs to have that because you're gonna need that, not just that explosiveness, but you're gonna need that continuous quickness and agility when you're dealing with a guy who can move his feet like that. And it's all about getting in position. If you can get in position before he can, that's gonna be better for you. I thought he would have learned this, when he had to face Erislandy Lara. But anyway, Bivol is a very composed fighter as well. He's been at a higher weight and he's dealt with heavier punchers than Canelo. So Canelo's not going to bring anything to the table. People talking about Canelo knock out Bivol. That's not happening. A lot of people don't know who Bivol is, but at the end of this fight with Canelo, they're going to know who Bivol is. And I've said this. I don't see how Canelo's going to beat him. So Canelo's going to have to show me that he could beat Dimitri Bivol. I don't think he's going to beat him. I'm being straight with you guys. I don't know how he's going to beat him. He doesn't have the foot cardio to hang with a Bivol. Bivol's going to have the foot cardio all night long, and Bivol doesn't get tired. And he's going to sidestep him. He's going to do him all kinds of things. So even Canelo trying to get to Bivol's body is going to be a difficult task because Bivol, he really distance controls very, very well and can counterpunch. And I believe Bivol has the longer reach. Bivol's taller. So, and Canelo's shown that he can be outboxed. So, I just don't see it. I don't see what people are seeing. People are just underrating Bivol, which is strange because Bivol is a fantastic fighter. He's one of my favorite fighters, actually. So, Caleb Plant's also one of my favorite fighters, even though he's lost to Canelo. And Caleb Plant, the only reason he lost to Canelo, of course, the body shot was in round 10. He probably was thinking about it. Was because he got dropped. And after he got dropped, and he did get dropped pretty hard. He got caught with a leaping left hook. As he dipped down, he got caught with a right uppercut, I think it is, that Canelo hit him with. So he did stun him good, but he still didn't stay down. He just popped back up like a lollipop, which is just dumb. You stay down, you get your bearings, and then you get back up. So hopefully Caleb Plant learns from that because that was critical right there. He needed to get his composure, bounce up and down, and then go back into the fight. And even if you're woozy, you just clinch him up, lock him up. Lock him up. Can't do you nothing. Slide to the inside, lock him up. So, this is boxing 101, but, Caleb didn't have the experience to handle that situation. He's doing pretty well, though, during the fight. I had him either up ahead or drawn or something like that. He was doing well. He just got brave, and he's trying to, at mid-range, engage with Canelo at mid-range, and he got caught with a body shot. And that, pretty much is all she wrote because he was still thinking about that body shot, I'm sure, going into the 11th. But I don't think that's going to happen with Bivol. I think Bivol's a lot more experienced. I think that Bivol is going to definitely go to 12 rounds. I don't expect this to not go 12 rounds. I don't expect Canelo to damage Bivol's arm like how he damaged Callum Smith or knock out Bivol like how he did Caleb Plant or break his orbital like he did Billy Joe Saunders. That's not going to happen. Bivol's a smart fighter. He distance controls, he range controls, and so it's going to be very hard for Canelo to even close the distance on Bivol, as he'll find out very quickly. And after he receives one or two right hands, I think he's going to learn that he needs to have a healthy respect for this guy and figure out how he's going to get to the inside, because this is going to be a long night. Bivol's, and Bivol's reflexes and his quickness and his reaction time and also his set counters make him very difficult. Very, very difficult fighter. So I don't know what Canelo was thinking. I hope they have a game plan for him. I don't have no game plan for Bivol. I don't know how to, with Canelo's skill set, how to beat Bivol with that. Like I said before, if Canelo had if I knew that his cardio, his foot cardio was on point, and he was doing all this boxing, baiting Bebo in by boxing off the back foot, and had a decent, regular pacing, quick pacing and stuff, I would definitely say Canelo would win. But you can't beat Bebo on head movement and a precise footwork. That shit ain't gonna work. So I see a lot of people out there saying how Canelo's gonna win this, and they think that Canelo's on this high, and he's definitely gonna take the fight and he's gonna win. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know where their confidence is coming from, because obviously they haven't watched Bebo. But if you watch Bebo, you're not gonna be saying any of that stuff. People say Bebo's sloppy with his punches and blah blah blah. Trust me, man, he ain't gonna come in there sloppy, and he's gonna do what he do. And Bebo does punch hard. So anyway, that's all I'm gonna say. He's a sleeper. Y'all sleeping on Bebo. Y'all guys, but I'm not convinced that Canelo could beat Bebo. I'm not convinced. So Canelo's gonna have to convince me that he can beat Bebo. I don't see it. But that's just me. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I am what you need. Peace.